Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Canadian Rocketship Companies. In this podcast, we profile Canadian startups who can accelerate your career. I'm your host, Alex Norman, and this week I'm joined by Wilfred, co-founder and CEO of Silofit. If you have any questions for Wilfred, you can ask them by commenting in the media you're watching this in. So if you're in LinkedIn or if you're on YouTube, just put a comment. If you're on Twitter, reply to it, and we will get the comments and weave them into the conversation. So let's get started. Let's get Wilfred up on stage, and you might recognize his name or Silofit's name from this news this week, where they just announced a 10 million US Series A. Congratulations on your new round.
Thank you so much. Yes, we just closed a 10 million USD Series A, along with 2 million in debt from Silicon Valley Bank. So very, very proud to announce that this week.
So it sounds like you're ready for expansion.
What one could say that, yeah.
So for people that don't know you, can you give us a 30-second background of what you did prior to founding the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So born and raised in Montreal, I went to McGill. I did a double major in finance and economics, but entrepreneurship has been my passion for most of my life. I've worked as a commodities trader. I've worked in startups as well. I've worked at Dialogue. I've worked at Breather. I worked at Building Stack. So I've worked quite a bit in prop tech, and that passion for both real estate and technology was what led me to pretty much start Silofit.
So for people that don't know Silofit, can you give us the 30-second, 1-minute elevator pitch, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So Silofit is building a network of micro gyms that you can rent by the hour using an app. It's super simple to use us. You just go on our app to find a space near you. You book it for an hour or more. You unlock the door with a PIN code. You walk in, work out. It's your private space for the hour. No one else is allowed in unless you share that code with a friend or your personal trainer. And likewise, personal trainers can actually book our spaces to bring their clients too. So our spaces are used by all sorts of people, from athletes to personal trainers to kinesiologists and massage therapists. But what we've really seen, the benefit of our product has been largely personal trainers using our spaces to grow their business. And that's why, as Silofit's evolving, we're starting to become really an omni-channel platform for fitness professionals to run their business. But it's really an ecosystem for anyone who wants to work out or likewise work out with their clients.
So I love it. It sounds like a more personalized way to get attention and get in shape. So what was the inspiration behind Silofit? It sounds like you're in prop tech a bit. You're a commodities trader, but where did this idea come from?
Yeah, so this idea really came out of pure need. So at the time I was in sales and traveling a lot for business. And so I thought, to myself, like, how cool would it be to have your own little private gym where you could work out on your own? That's pay per use and on demand, right? Because at the time when you're traveling a lot, you don't want to be paying for a gym membership because you're paying for something that you're not even using. So I thought it'd be great to have something where it was really pay per use and on demand. And so that was the impetus behind the idea. And it really started, like, I was meddling with this on the back of a napkin for a little while. And then I saw this office space across the street from my apartment through the window. And I saw that it was only like 500 square feet. So I thought, how cool would it be to really turn this small office into a micro gym? And then basically it grew from there.
So I love that. So let's go a bit more into that first micro gym. So you saw this 500 square foot location. You thought that'd be appropriate. So what did you do next? And like, was it just, did you approach the landlord and sign up for it? Did you know how to fit it out? Did you go talk to personal trainers? I'm just curious how this went from idea, sort of opportunity, to actual reality.
Yeah. So, being an entrepreneur, like, I realized that to really succeed, I don't think you should be married to any one particular idea. I think that's often where entrepreneurs fail, because they come far too vested in something as opposed to iterating really, really quickly. So I always say that, you need to 10x your conversations to try to really get somewhere. And on top of that, don't become too attached to an idea. You really need to vet it and test it out in the market. So what I started originally was something called like an ideas funnel. So I'd write down all my ideas every day, and I look at trends in the market and I test things out. So I literally test everything through Kijiji. I try to put some fake ads up, see who bites. And then I try to message a bunch of people and try to see their feedback. So this was one of many ideas. Luckily, it stuck. So I started to test it out by really talking to as many people as I could, and I'm really not protective about ideas. I think that entrepreneurs are rare and far in between because most people aren't pursuing something that aggressively. So I started to talk to personal trainers. I started to talk to landlords, and I realized that one of the biggest problems that we were solving if we did this was we found a way to offer space at a highly reduced rate. So in other words, personal trainers give away 60 to 70% of their profits to a gym to work there. And the gym has to take such a big cut from the trainer because they need to make money to cover their very high overhead, right? So what I saw in the market was if we looked for office space that goes for, say, in Montreal, $25 a foot versus a storefront property, which most gyms choose because they need that foot traffic and that street front property, they're paying around $100 a foot. So that showed me an opportunity for real estate arbitrage where our rent would be significantly less, which means that we could charge or fractionalize the hours in that space and sell off that time at a pretty low rate because our rent is so much cheaper versus a standard gym. So that rent arbitrage really gave us the edge that we needed. And then on top of that, just to wrap up that question, I would say another opportunity that I saw in the market was not only from talking to trainers and understanding the woes of the landlord, but it was also at a time where real estate as a service really only existed in co-working spaces, like office space, also storage. Like there was Clutter in the US, for example, there was Breather and WeWork in office, and then there was Beta also in retail. So there was no one really doing fitness space as a service. So that's where I saw a really, really huge opportunity as well.
So interesting question. Or I love that you took a real estate arbitrage. So my question here is to make that, let's call it, more affordable space work. Were you thinking that you had to build a saddlefit name and then consumers come to you and you pair them with physical trainer, personal trainers, or was it leveraging the personal trainer's sort of Rolodex already so he or she could bring their customers to the location?
Exactly. Yeah. So because we found so much product market fit with the trainer, the reason being is that the value is probably greatest for them. Like, of course, for a user, private space is fantastic. But the substitute product could be working out outside, or it could be, going to your gym and paying 20 bucks a month or something like that. But really for the trainer, their substitute product is either their home basement or, for example, renting space at a gym.
Yeah.
So that was like really where we found that, that would be our key market. So our core focus is actually on the trainer, and anything that we do with the user, like, of course, we have two clients or three clients really. We have users, we have trainers, and then we also have corporate clients. So companies that want a wellness program. But really, like, anything that we do is we do it around the trainer. They are the lifeblood of this business. They help us secure more clients. So they bring in their clients, and we try to help them build their business. So our purpose and really our greater vision there, our purpose is to have the most positive impact possible on people's lives. And I think working with the personal trainer is the best way of doing that. Because of the dividends from being healthy and active are obviously highly important, but the trainer, for every one trainer, they have 10 clients. So you can have a much greater effect by working with personal trainers. So that's our core focus.
I love that. Now you've launched your first location in Montreal. When did you actually know you had early product market fit, you had actual something that could scale up?
So after we launched our first space, we did a pre-seed of 150,000. At the time I was sleeping on my mom's couch. We didn't know if this was going to work. I remember, like, after the first week, we got a few bookings, and then there was no bookings for the next week. And then all of a sudden, Sunday night, I see like reservations start to roll in. And that's because the natural behavior of personal trainers is typically they'll schedule their week on Sunday nights. So then once those hours start to roll in, I said, okay, well, looks like we have something. And then the following week, our booking hours grew, and the following week and so on. So that was when I started to get an idea, but really we started to see real product market fit the moment we started to create a network of spaces. So we launched 2 more locations in Montreal. Then we launched 3 in Toronto. So now we're at almost about 20 locations across Montreal and Toronto. I would say it was probably somewhere along our seed round throughout the pandemic where we really saw that stickiness and love for our product.
So let's talk about the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about the pandemic and I think about personal training, I think everything went digital. But from what I saw with your A-round announcement, it sounds like you've actually thrived a bit. You're at 20 locations, 12,000 users, 3,000 trainers. So tell me what happened during the pandemic? How did you guys, survive and grow through it? And what changes or opportunities did it present to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think throughout the pandemic, there was a lot of people either did, like, for example, like Amazon did extremely well and accelerated in their business. Then there were some people who just, if they were in the restaurant business, they completely cut back. And then there's some that are kind of like us, where we're a great product for the pandemic, where it's a private space. So if you're afraid of COVID, of course, you could work out on your own in our locations, and gym products were highly in demand. So overall, the pandemic was net positive for us in the sense that there was some negatives where we had to close in Ontario, but the positive overall was that when we were open and did operate in Montreal, we were fully booked, right? Coming out of this, thinking a little bit more long term, the reason as to why our current investors and investors that are previous investors and our current investors believe in this is because the market conditions are quite favorable. So on the supply side, we're going to get much cheaper real estate going into the US because of the pandemic. And then on the demand side, with a third of gyms closing, obviously personal trainers are going to be looking for a new home. So they're going to need workout space. And with most of these gyms closed, like it's a natural fit for Silofit. So overall, the pandemic was great for our business in that sense. And so now we have a war chest to really take advantage of these market conditions. And moving forward, I think also people are going to look for a hybrid fitness environment where they're going to work out from home still digitally. And then they're also going to want to work out in person now, but more like boutique specialized classes. So on the digital side, like, yes, definitely people were looking for digital. But I think at the same time, we were one of the few operators that were really under the radar, where we were able to operate because we're technically we can allow or regulate for 1 to 2 people in our spaces or more. But we're able to actually regulate the flow in our spaces to keep it private. So we did operate quite well. And then secondly, like, this was also a huge impetus towards us starting our digital side. So we're launching now the ability to purchase workout programs through the app that you can either do in the space or at home. So it'll show you how to use equipment in the space, or you can work out at home. And then we're also doing we started doing live classes too. So if anything, the pandemic just helped complement and enhance our overall offering to be not only physical, but also digital.
I love that. And now you raise money, you want to go enter, I guess, a third market outside of Canada, I guess the United States. So where can we expect your first American location to be?
Yep. So we're opening our US headquarters in Miami. And we're going to be opening our first 3 to 5 locations there as well this fall. And then secondly, we'll be going into Chicago shortly thereafter. And then we have probably three to 4 more US cities lined up after that.
Wow. Quick expansion. And what learnings do you have from expanding to Toronto that you're applying to the US?
Yeah, I mean, our first city was Montreal. Our second city was Toronto. I think that our greatest learnings from going from Montreal to Toronto is that, the fitness appetite in a city can vary widely, right? Toronto, you have people who have a SoulCycle membership or an Equinox membership and then still pay for SoulCycle as well. So a lot of people have 2 to 3 different memberships or do drop-in classes and so on. So there's a huge fitness demand in Toronto. So that was super, super interesting. So understanding the demand side was important. Also understanding the supply side. I think as we expand in Toronto, we start to realize really where we should be placing spaces, which is definitely closer to existing gyms because we're a natural spillover space for more personal trainers. So going into Miami, we're being a lot more selective in terms of where we're opening, as well as kind of the nodes of fitness interest and so on. So it's been a good learning lesson going through, at least a Canadian city as a way of going into a US city.
Interesting. I would have thought the markets were much more similar between cities, but it's interesting to see there's local market dynamics that are quite prevalent.
Yeah, even the pricing of personal training, it goes for say $70 an hour in Montreal versus Toronto, where you'll go to 120 to 150, and then in the US, it could go anything from $130 to $200 an hour in personal training.
Wow, that's a big range. What does Saddlefit look like in 10 years?
So I would like for Silofit to be the largest fitness ecosystem for personal training. So we're building this. The long-term vision for this business is A, we're building the physical footprint. B, we're layering on the digital technology to enhance that experience. And then C, we're developing that connected fitness component. So the physical footprint is, you already know, the network of spaces. The digital component is really our user app and our trainer app. We have two apps, one called Silofit, Silofit Pro. The Silofit app is for the user, where they can book a space. They can also book a trainer through the app, and they can purchase a workout program. Silofit Pro is for the trainer, where they can book a space, they can create workout programs, and they can develop their profile to get new clients. So those are the two apps. And then after that, the connected fitness piece, which is really the long-term vision, is how do we create this stickiness, this environment where we really support the trainer and the user. And that's where we're going to start collecting the data from all the equipment in the space. So the treadmill, the resistance machine, the rower, et cetera, all that data is going to go into the app. And then you're going to have very smart recommendations around your workout. And then we can send that to your trainer to also provide smart recommendations on your workout too. So it's really physical footprint. So 500 spaces in 5 years. That's our big, hairy, audacious goal. And then we go to the digital piece, which is really creating that omni-channel platform for both the user and the trainer. And then the connected fitness piece, which creates that stickiness.
So I love that. It's going to be all-encompassing, keep everyone in shape, keep the trainers busy, and we're going to have a healthier North America. Well, we call this Canadian Rocketships because we're helping people find jobs they can accelerate their career at. So let's get into a bit of what you're looking for and what it's like to work at Silofit. So what jobs are you hiring for? You've just got a $10 million round. I assume you have some city managers or something like that, but what other roles are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're looking to expand, definitely on the development side. So we do everything in-house in terms of our spaces. So we're always looking for interior designers, people on the expansion side as well to help us expand into new cities. And then even our real estate team, we're looking to beef that up too. So anyone, I can't dive into the specific details, but
if they want the specific details, where can they find them?
They can go on our website and they'll find a link to our jobs page.
So just, can you give us the URL for your website, because not everyone knows where it is?
Yeah, of course. So it's saddlefit.com.
Okay. And so you have these jobs, and why should someone join the company? Like what what's the main attraction?
Yeah, of course. So I think in terms of, this business, we have so much going on because there's such an amazing opportunity. The gym industry really hasn't changed in the past 50 years. I think COVID has accelerated that tremendously. But what's really unique about Silofit is that we're probably the only fitness platform that's omni-channel. So most companies have either gone digital or physical. Silofit is the first network of micro gyms that also utilizes a digital component to really enhance its offering. So I think that we have a unique set of challenges around kind of that physical, digital, and connected fitness piece, that if you're into IoT or app development, or even, you have a curiosity about design, this business varies so much, and it's in so many different, things that you can do, that I think there's a huge opportunity for someone to really expand their interests, even if they're focused on, for example, design, they can also learn about technology. So it's really a unique opportunity in that sense. Plus, on top of that, like you said, we're a rocket ship. We've gone from 5 to 25 people. Now we went from 25 to 50 people in about 3 months. Now we're going from 50 to 25 in the next 3 months, probably. So very rapid pace. And as I always say, when you're growing that quickly, there's just tons of opportunity to grow within the company. So I think that's what makes us also pretty unique.
So I like all those reasons. If I'm thinking of joining, what's gonna make me successful at your company? Like, what are traits you value? What does someone have to do to be successful at Saddlefit, especially when it's growing so fast?
Yeah. I think the number one thing for me is definitely, teamwork. We leave our ego at the door. It's super important for us to communicate really, really well, and just a certain degree of adaptability. I think that's such a unique, important thing. Like either having, resilience, so that if things change on a dime, like we're able to figure it out. You're able to adapt. You're really able to be agile, and you also need to be someone that's audacious. Like those are really my 3 A's. So agile, adaptable, and audacious. Those are 3 character traits. And I think just having also, a trait that I've really learned to look for is someone who asks a lot of questions. I think it's super important to not just like, go ahead and do something, but really understand the context of everything that we're working within. Startups move incredibly quickly, and I think like having that 2-way street of dialogue between the entire team is just so critical. It's very subtle, but it's so critical.
And so I like that you like people asking questions. Is there a question you wish people asked more during the interview process?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Is there a question you wish people asked more during the interview process?
Yeah, I wouldn't say if there's a specific question. I would just say that so one major go no go for me is, did the person download the app? I think that's the number one thing, and I'll ask a bunch of questions around that. But for me, typically, what I like is when I ask someone a question, I want them to ask questions before they answer. So really understanding that context shows me a certain degree of like maturity, in the sense that they're willing to understand, like try to hear someone out before trying to be heard. I think that's a very, very critical skill set, because it means that A, you have empathy, B, you try to understand the context before trying to solve something. And it shows a certain degree that like, you've left your ego at the door. You're trying to be empathetic, understand with someone else. And these are a few subtle things that I think through personal growth I've learned as well. It's just so critical in a team dynamic that's moving so quickly.
So I love that. I'm more questions the better. I tend to be the same way. Actually, I often get complaints from family and friends I ask too many questions. So it sounds like that's not an issue at Silofit. What else should someone know if they're before they join, or if they're going to apply?
I think the question is yeah. So we move at an incredibly fast pace. We are I'm extremely process driven. We are extremely process driven naturally because of that. So the real question is do you work in environments that are structured or more laissez-faire? I think naturally going from a series, into a Series A company, we're really building that foundation and framework to scale this to the next level. So the question is like, what startup stage do you want to be in? Do you want to be at that stage right at the cusp of, that scaling where we're laying a little bit of that framework? Or are you still someone that wants to be in like a 4 to 5 person team startup? I think that's very important to understand the context of where a startup is. And I always try to do that with my team. I always try to explain to them, hey guys, we're now at the Series A. This is what we can expect the environment to be like and how we should be proceeding accordingly. Whereas, sometimes people get lost in that shuffle. And I think it's really important to provide that at the beginning.
Well, Wilfred, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you get a few applications out of this. It sounds like you truly are a rocket ship. Actually, just when I was running the other day, I noticed a Silofit location right near my house. I might have to download the app and try it out, because I'm itching to get back to personal trainer.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, definitely. You'll be able to book one through the app. and I'll make sure to drop some credits in your account, Alex.
Thanks. I'll ping you. Wilfred, have a great day. I know you're in the Bay Area. I hope you have a productive day. And thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Great. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to hear previous episodes, head over to Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts to catch up on those previous conversations. Also, if you want to stay informed of what's happening in the Canadian tech ecosystem, you should subscribe to the TechTO newsletter at techto.org/newsletter. Finally, if you're listening to this prior to August 9th and you are in Toronto and you want to meet people in the ecosystem, well, I've got good news for you. We're doing our first live event in about 15, 16 months. We're doing a patio dinner on August 9th with Artie Sharma, John Ruffalo, and Zach from Lupio, all being there as guests. Look for more information on our website, techto.org. And finally, next Wednesday after that patio dinner, we're hosting an insider roundtable, digital. We're going to talk about branding for early stage investors. It's going to be really interesting. Our guests have helped build a multi-unicorn brand and restructure the brand as it scaled. Check out the website for more information. And I hope you have an amazing day.